Hi crafters, welcome back. It's Jana with Purple Girl Crafts. Today I'm going to show you my version of a cube card. Now this, instead of having the cubes on the side, it has the two flaps. And I thought this would be a fun way just to bring out that fireplace for Santa. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to need is to pull out our scoreboard. And we're going to work on the base of the card. So the base of the card is 8.5 inches by 6 inches. And on the 8.5 inch side, we're going to score this at 2, 4, 6, and 8. So you should have your 4 score marks. Next, we are going to work on the 2 side pieces, and these are going to be 6 inches by 2.5 inches. And then on one of the sides, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, and you're going to do this only on one side of both pieces. Next, we're going to need a pattern paper or whatever design you are on the back of the card, and we need 3 pieces, and they are going to be cut at 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. There is no scoring needed on these 3 pieces. Next, for the front of the card on the 2 pattern pieces, these are also cut at 5 3/4 by 1 3/4, but these are just a different pattern paper. Next, we need 2 pieces, and these I have stenciled them with stone, and these are cut at 2 inches by 6 inches. Then we need 2 pieces at 2.5 by 1 inch, and that's for the front of the fireplace. And then we need 1 brown piece, that's for the mantle, and this is cut at 4 inches by 1.5 inches. So next, on the 2 pieces that I had stenciled in the stone, we're going to use these. We're going to cut away a small piece on each one. So right now I'm just putting a mark at 2 inches because I'm going to go 2 inches up from the bottom. And I am marking this on the wrong side of the paper so you won't see it because it'll be glued down. And then I'm going to turn it, and then I'm going to do 1 inch in. From the right side. So I'm going to grab my scissors, and we are going to cut this little piece away. And then we'll use this piece as a guide for the other side. Then we'll use this as a guide for the other side. So we're going to grab our second piece. Now you want to make sure that you don't put the right sides together. So you want to flip this so that the wrong sides are together. And then just trace this out, and then we'll cut this piece out. And this is what you should have when you're done. Now, for the base of the card, we're also going to have to make a cut in the center of the card. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half, or on that 4 inch mark. So you're going to have that little extra flap at the left-hand side. And again, we're going to do some markings. So we're going to mark this at 1 inch. And I'm going to do it the exact same way. So we're going to put our marking. We're going to go 2 inches up. And I'm just using my board as a guide. Now for this, we're going to make one cut and a fold. So now grab your bone folder and we're going to score this 1-inch mark up to the 2-inch mark. And I'm just going to go through both layers of paper. It's just easier. I'm just going to do it a couple of times so that you should end up with your 2 score marks. And then we are going to cut that piece. So now I'm just going to use my scissors again, and on this 2-inch mark, I'm going to cut it to the 1-inch mark that we had made. And this is what you should end up with. And then you're going to fold the 2 panels that we just did inward. So now that you have this P shape that you're looking at right now. And that is the base of the card. And then you want to go ahead and erase your pencil markings. So let's move our scoreboard. We don't need that any longer. So we're going to start working on the base of the card. So we're going to fold the score lines that we had made and we're going to crease those out so that we can make a cube or a box. So this is the piece that we should have now. So next we're going to do the side panels. We're going to crease out those 2 score lines that we did, one on each piece. It doesn't matter as long as you have just regular paper. It doesn't matter what side you do them. And these 2 pieces are going to stick on the sides right here in the very front, not on the back, but on the front of the card. So before we do that, we're going to add the panels. So we're going to begin by doing the center of the card first. So I'm just going to lay these panels down so you can see where they're going to fit. They're going to fit right over that opening. So both sides. If you have a little bit of the red showing in the front, that's okay because you want the card to be able to bend, open and close easily. But before we glue these down, let's go ahead and do the black pieces first because these are too long and we're going to need to cut them off a little bit. So these are just going to sit in that little section that we had made earlier. And I'm just going to put glue on the card. You can put it on the card or on the piece that you're going to glue down. And then it's okay if they go over the back of the card a little bit on the inside because you're not going to see that. So you want to make sure it's lined up with the edge of the paper. And if it overhangs a little bit, you can cut that away if you want to. And I'm just going to grab my scissors and I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to cut the bottom because I made it these too long. I'd rather have them long where you can cut them away than not to have them long enough and then have to recut them. So we're going to cut off the bottom that's hanging over. And then I'm also going to cut the side. This is going to be a little bit tricky, but I just want to cut just that little bit of extra hangover that's hanging over. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. I'm just going to lay this on this section and then I'll cut off the excess if there are on the bottom and then if there's any on the side. This side is harder to cut off, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of play with this just to make sure that they're on there. They're lined up and I'm going to push these out just a little bit. So if you use glue, it's easier that you can move these before it dries if you have to. Okay, so now we're going to work on the fireplace itself. So I'm going to glue these two sections down. You could do a brick on here. I had a stone stencil, so that's why I did the stone. And then when you lay these down, you want to make sure that they are lined up with the edge of the paper. If there's any excess, again, you can cut it off. So we'll glue down our second piece. Now, if they're not exactly lined up over the top of the fireplace, it's okay because we're going to put that mantelpiece over it, so it should be okay. So next we're going to work on the mantelpiece. And this, you can lower this a little bit so it hangs over the top of those two center pieces. So I'm just going to fold this in half. And then I'm just going to line up the center point with the center of the card. And then we're just going to glue this in place right here. And then just open your card, make sure you secure it down. And make sure you didn't glue on the end like I just did so that it doesn't stick to the inside of the card. Got just a little bit too much glue on there. So next we're going to work on the two side panels. And it doesn't matter which side you do first, but we are going to glue one of the side panels. We're going to glue the flap that we have right next to the fireplace, just like this. And then we'll glue the other one on the other side. So we're just going to put glue on the flap, and then we're going to glue it just next to that fireplace. And you want to make sure that it is lined up. And you can fold your card and then just make sure your seams are even. So this is what you should have right now. Then we're going to turn the card. And we're going to do it to the other side. Same thing, we're going to glue that lip to the front of the card next to the fireplace. And then we'll just glue this one to the other side of the fireplace. Make sure they're lined up and then secure them down. And this is what you should have so far. So next what we're going to do is we're going to work on the panels. And so I'm going to speed this up and we are just going to glue all these panels down. Next, we're going to glue the pattern paper down. And this is going to be on both sides of the card, with the card facing up, and those two panels that you just put the paper on, those should be standing straight up, and then you want to glue as I'm showing you here. And you want to do that on both sides. So this is what it should look like once you're done gluing those two panels. So you should have the 4 panels already glued on. Next, we're going to close the card. We're going to glue the card together on the back. We're going to form that cube shape. So you want to lay this down so that your extra flaps that you just glued are showing face up, and we're going to put glue on that little tab that we made. Then we're going to lay that flat, and then we're just going to close the other flap on top of it. And that is your card so far. Now on the very front, I'm going to go ahead and add another patterned piece of paper. And you could put any design on here if you wanted. You can add a saying. I'm just going to add an extra piece onto here, and my lines do not line up. So if you're going to do pattern paper, make sure you cut it so that your lines do match. So that is the basic assembly of the card. This could be made for all different kinds of occasions. So that is the basic assembly. Now you can use this again, like I said, for any occasion. So I'm going to decorate this. So I have a Santa that I have, and I'm going to put him on the right hand side of the card. I'm going to put my punches up here just so I can keep the card kind of extended so you can see it as I decorate it. And then I have a tree that I had a die cut for, and I cut 3 layers out on that just to give it some shinies on the back. And then I went ahead and I'm just going to glue these together. I'm going to leave just a little bit of shadow behind it so you can see the shiny part. And then I cut out a bunch of just glitter paper circles or punches, and I'm going to glue those to the front of the tree. Again, you can decorate this any way that you want. You can see how they're kind of shimmering in the light. So I'm just going to glue that down. I'm going to glue Santa down. I'm not doing any foam dots to do any dimension. And the next I have some pictures that I cut out. One just says Merry Christmas on it, and I put a little border around it just like it's a picture on the wall. And then I have a picture of a snowman, and I'm going to put that on the other side. I think I'm going to put it on the mantle. Then I added a star, and again I cut this out of glitter paper, so I put a star on top of the tree. And then with that same glitter paper in different colors, I cut out a bunch of tree lights that I had from a die set. I added some presents to the very front, and I just randomly putting these on a string and then just gluing them down onto the card. And you just want to make sure that your string has enough slack so that when it opens and closes, it doesn't snap on you. And I'm just alternating the colors on this too. And then I'll cut off the extra string on both ends. And there are my lights. I'm going to put this green tree in the very front just to give it just a little bit more decoration. And then I'm also going to add some ivy next to the snowman picture on the mantle. And I'm just going to add a few pieces. Now you could add stockings hanging from the fireplace. You could add the logs for the fireplace. I just didn't want to do too much on the card, but I just thought this was a great way to just make it look like a really homey Christmas card. So thank you so much for watching me today. This is the card that we made. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. There'll be more videos coming as I enjoy making these for you. So until next time, happy crafting. See ya. Bye-bye.